Earlier today, the White House announced plans for the largest ever release of oil from the United States strategic reserves, more than 180 million barrels over the next 6 months. And sticking to the left strategy of blaming Vladimir Putin for the price hikes at the pump that we've been witnessing, President Biden tried to convince the American public that his administration is the solution for the problem rather than the cause.
My plan's going to help ease that pain today and safeguard against tomorrow. I'm open to ideas to strengthen the plan, but I will not be put off and put it on hold. It's time to deliver true long-term energy independence in America once and for all, and I'm going to continue to use every tool at my disposal to protect you from Putin's price hike.
Is it Putin's price hike we need protection from, or a myopic administration that is throwing America's future to the wind? Joining me now to talk about this and more is Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell. Leader McConnell, welcome back to the program.
Hey, Tony. Glad to be with you.
So first, let me get your thoughts on the latest plans coming out of the White House as it pertains to gasoline prices.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to convince anybody that Putin is the reason for high gas prices. That started at the beginning of the year and has escalated over the course of the year. And of course, tapping into the Strategic Petroleum Reserve will have about as much impact as dropping a pebble in the ocean. But what the president really needs to do is to change directions in favor of domestic fossil fuel production. And in 2019, we were independent. We were energy independent. We were actually exporting oil and gas. This president came in. He shut down no new leases on public lands, canceled the Keystone pipeline. They're doing everything through their administrators in this administration to make it very difficult for us to produce domestically, while ironically at the same time encouraging regimes like Venezuela to increase production. What we need is a realistic U.S. fossil fuel production plan, which we had in the previous administration, and this administration has canceled.
Leader McConnell, given the volatility that we see in the world today, the war in Ukraine, we see North Korea making moves. We have this China, no telling what they might do. The Strategic Petroleum Reserve has a national security element to it. Is there not concern that this could be depleted and then we find ourselves even in a greater, really vulnerable position?
Yeah, this is not the kind of thing that the Strategic Petroleum Reserve was intended to be used for. Another thing you'd be interested in, Tony, a couple of years ago when oil prices were really low, we tried to purchase a lot of oil and gas to beef up the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, and the Democrats in Congress blocked it and claimed it was some kind of bailout for big oil. So their playbook is tap the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, have oil and gas CEOs come up before Congress and beat them up, blame everybody but themselves. But this administration wants every other country in the world to produce more oil and gas, but not us. They want us to be green. And that is an unrealistic approach that simply will not meet the needs of America, or, we could be, once again, like we were in 2019, not only taking care of our own energy needs, but exporting as well.
Exactly, and not be in this vulnerable situation we're in. Let me, switching gears, you announced early on your intention not to vote after the hearing had completed with Ketanji Brown Jackson. You listed 3 reasons that you cannot support her. What are those 3 reasons?
Well, first, I thought she ought to echo Justice Ginsburg and Justice Breyer in opposing court packing. That's not asking her to take a position on anything that would come before, but rather a way to defend the institution of the court itself. And I always admired the fact that two very liberal Supreme Court justices, Breyer and Ginsburg, defended the institution. She wouldn't do that. Secondly, she had a record demonstrably soft on crime in general, and in particular, of all things, child pornography cases. In 100% of her decisions in child pornography cases on sentencing, they were below the sentencing guidelines. In other words, in every single case, with no exceptions, sentences doled out to these purveyors of this awful material received a lighter sentence than the lower end of the sentencing guidelines. I found that perplexing and very, very difficult to explain.
Especially when we're talking about children as the victims in many of these
I mean, it's a
cases.
heinous crime, and the recidivism rate is quite high, and the best way to make sure that doesn't happen is to have them off the streets.
Right. Based upon what you witnessed in the hearing, would you say her judicial philosophy puts her in the category of an activist judge?
Yeah, I think this is, she's certainly intelligent, well qualified. She's going to be a judicial activist, and that's the kind of nomination you would expect from Joe Biden, and that's the kind of nomination we got.
Final question, we're up against the clock, but any chance that she does not find confirmation in the Senate?
No, I don't think so. All the Democrats are lined up, and at least one Republican is going to support her within a 50-50 Senate. I think she will be confirmed. The good news, Tony, is it's 6-3.
Yeah.
And you may recall I had a major role to play.
You certainly did.
Putting not one, 3 new Supreme Court justices in place during the previous administration.
Very quickly,
and in particular,
that 50
the Scalia vacancy during the 2016 election. So the good news is it doesn't change much.
That's true. It doesn't. Very quickly, the 50-50 split, does that change in November?
Sure hope so. The environment for the election is, from a Republican point of view, just simply could not be better.
All right, Senator, we're up.
Question